Okay, folks, ready to dive deep today?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're tackling a pretty massive question today. What makes us human?
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're not talking about, the basic biological stuff like 2 arms and legs.
No, not this time.
We're going deeper.
Way deeper.
Like, what is it about us
Yeah.
that makes us US?
That makes us human, exactly.
We've got some fascinating sources lined up that touch on consciousness,
Okay.
the soul, and even spirituality.
That sounds promising.
So buckle up, folks.
Yeah, it's going to be a thought-provoking one.
Because we're about to explore some pretty mind-bending concepts.
I'm ready for it.
All right, so one of our sources dives into this really interesting Buddhist concept called anatta.
Okay.
And essentially it says that there's no such thing as like a fixed self. It's more like, where this constant flow of thoughts and feelings,
Right.
sensations,
That's always
almost
really
like a river,
like a river. Yeah.
ever-changing dynamic.
It makes you think about, like, those moments where you're like, who am I really?
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like those deep existential questions we all have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this idea that we're not like a fixed, unchanging self,
Right.
it really kind of throws a wrench in how we typically see ourselves and the world around us.
It makes you wonder, how much control do we actually have over
Everything.
everything
Yeah, if things are constantly changing.
if we're in constant flux?
Right. That leads us to some pretty big philosophical questions.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think we should move on to another big one. The soul.
All right, the soul.
Yeah. What is a soul?
Now, this is where things get really
Interesting.
interesting because our sources offer like a whole spectrum of views
Yeah, it's fascinating.
on this.
Yeah.
Some sources talk about this idea of like an eternal soul,
Okay.
particularly in Christian and Hindu traditions,
Mm-hmm.
right, where the soul is connected to this
Divine force.
divine force, exactly.
There's a higher power.
And it's like this immortal essence, right, that kind of transcends our physical existence.
Right. And then other sources define the soul more as
Like the core of a person's being.
yeah, like our thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
Right, and everything that makes up our individual identity,
Right.
like the essence of who we are.
Yeah. And then there are some sources that are like, nope,
No soul
no soul.
doesn't exist.
It's wild, right?
It's such a huge range of beliefs.
It really is.
And I think it's so important to acknowledge this diversity of thought,
Yeah.
because how we understand the soul
Or
don't understand, it really shapes our whole worldview.
yeah, it impacts everything.
It influences how we see life and death,
Right.
good and evil, even the purpose of existence.
Right.
It's all tied to what we believe about the soul, if anything.
It's incredibly fascinating how
It is a fundamental
concept.
can have such different interpretations.
Yeah, it just shows you there's no like
One size fits all.
one-size-fits-all answer,
These big questions. To these big questions.
which is kind of amazing, right?
I think so.
It keeps things interesting.
Yeah, it keeps us thinking for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving on to the last piece of the puzzle we're exploring today.
Right.
Spirituality.
Spirituality, okay.
Now, our sources really emphasize spirituality as being
So,
this really vital part of being human.
for a lot of people,
Yeah, for many people.
that can
But what that looks like
be so different
to be so incredibly personal and varied.
for everyone.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's no single definition of spirituality, is there?
No, not at all.
For some people, it's about connecting with nature.
Right.
For others, it's about community.
Yeah.
And for others, it's about a relationship with a higher power or something bigger than themselves.
Right.
But I think there's a common thread running through all of these different expressions of spirituality.
Yeah. What's that?
It's about taking the time to pause, to notice, to connect with something larger than yourself.
It's like that feeling you get when you're standing on a mountaintop.
Yeah.
Looking out at a vast landscape,
Right.
it's awe-inspiring, and it just puts everything into perspective.
That sense of awe.
Yeah,
Could that be a key part of spirituality?
I think so.
Regardless of individual beliefs,
Regardless of what you believe in,
Yeah.
whether it's,
organized religion,
or just feeling connected to
to nature, to the universe.
the universe, exactly.
Yeah, that feeling of being part of something bigger
Yeah,
seems to be a common element in a lot of different spiritual traditions,
it really does.
doesn't it?
Okay, so to kind of wrap things up,
Yeah,
we've explored consciousness as this ever-changing flow.
right.
The soul as a concept open to a lot of interpretation.
Multiple interpretations.
And spirituality is this personal journey of connection.
Yeah, it's a journey, for sure.
It seems like being human is about
Way more.
way more
Mm.
than
That's very
just our
tall.
physical existence.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about our capacity to think, to feel, to question, to believe, to connect, and to experience this world in all its complexity.
It's about embracing all of it.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the confusing.
It's all part of the human experience.
It is, and it leaves me pondering this.
Okay.
If our sources highlight practices like mindfulness and meditation,
Mm-hmm.
which really emphasize being present in the moment,
Being in the now.
right? Being in the now, could that ability to truly connect with the present moment
Interesting question.
be another key aspect of what makes us human?
It makes you think.
Something to think about, isn't it?
It really does.
It's a big question,
A big question for sure.
but one worth exploring.
Absolutely.
So keep those thoughts churning, folks.
Yeah, keep exploring these ideas.
And until next time, keep diving deep.
Dive deep, everyone.